Pre-arrest, however, no Nigerian dared criticize the almighty Emefiele. George Whistleblower's network, hereinafter GUWN, exposed Emefiele's corruption regarding forex fraud of over $3 billion via letters written to Emefiele on or about April 1st, 2019. On May 15, 2019, the day Emefiele appeared before the Senate for screening and clearance for his second tenure, I was arrested in my Maitama office.
Good day, welcome to another episode of What is Trending. My name is Angelo. Welcome to Nation Voice Tower. Updates upon updates, I have lots for you. A particular unknown man identified as a whistleblower has come on air to expose what we will term as the sins of Emefiele. Now, it was alleged in this expose that Emefiele, the former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, now suspended, committed more crimes than Nigerians can ever imagine. This man narrated his ordeal with the suspended CBN governor and how he was detained on order from the said Godwin Emefiele. Emefiele was called out for even breaching the rules of the crucial seat of the position of the Central Bank of Nigeria's governor by allegedly nursing the ambition of running for the president of the country in the just concluded general elections, something unheard of in the history of the Central Bank of Nigeria. This particular whistleblower came up to say lots and pointed different allegations about Godwin Emefiele. I guess if Emefiele gets to hear this from wherever he is in prison or detention, I don't think he would really be happy with these particular allegations leveled against him by this said whistleblower. Without wasting much of your time, let me allow you have a brief cut from the long press conference granted by the alleged unknown whistleblower. Analysis and details when we come back.
Pre-arrest, however, no Nigerian dared criticize the almighty Emefiele. George Whistleblower's network, hereinafter GUWN, exposed Emefiele's corruption regarding forex fraud of over $3 billion via letters written to Emefiele on or about April 1st, 2019. On May 15, 2019, the day Emefiele appeared before the Senate for screening and clearance for his second tenure, I was arrested in my Maitama office. I was detained for 101 days for defamation of Emefiele's rotten character. Certainly, Emefiele's report is self-serving because CBN officials were neck deep in the fake certificates of capital importation, CCIs, the predicate offense which originated from the CBN on which the fraud allegation is premised. I hereby posit that the correct figure is 25.6 billion, that is 25,698,316,716.40, which was investigated by a seasoned bank fraud examiner. The collateral loss to Nigeria if Emefiele had pushed for the prosecution and implementation of the extant CBN regulation is $25.6 billion times 10, which is $256.9 billion. Emefiele was caught on tape along with some CBN staff lamenting the loss of 500 billion naira within the CBN. Emefiele was caught on tape calling former President Buhari and his friends thieves, which is a classic case of the chicken coming home to roost or the kettle calling the pot black. Emefiele's partisanship, naira redesign, and crime against humanity. In the history of Nigeria, there has never been a CBN governor who, while holding sway as CBN governor, ran for any political office. Emefiele's daring move to run for the highest office in Nigeria is unprecedented, a complete deviation from the global norm, a flagrant disregard for the sanctity of the Apex Bank, universally, and a wanton desecration of the exalted office of the central bank governor. The reason we are drawing the reader's attention to Emefiele's incestuous relationship with politics and his thirst to be Nigeria's president as the first wrong is because this act or this wrong delves into the mindset of Emefiele upon which other acts rest. In other words, because Emefiele was nursing the ambition to become Nigeria's president when he assumed office, Emefiele opened the CBN vault to bankroll President Jonathan's election in 2015, which he lost, that is Jonathan. Emefiele opened the CBN vault for President Muhammadu Buhari's men after Buhari won the 2015 election, as captured in a recorded conversation in our possession in which Emefiele called Buhari and his friends thieves. Emefiele opened the CBN vault to bankroll President Buhari's 2019 election. In 2023, given the favors Emefiele did for Buhari and his men, Emefiele boldly came out to run for president without President Buhari and his cabinet, who he called thieves in the recorded conversation, questioning such grave and unprecedented conflict of interest at best or illegality at worst. Emefiele's mindset to become Nigeria's president ab initio when he assumed office is the reason behind Emefiele's thirst for monumental amassment of wealth, as demonstrated herein. Wealth he used to oil the law enforcement agencies and judiciary in order to silence anyone who criticized him.
Okay, we all are saying Godwin Emefiele has gone to the left, gone to the right, and what have you, okay, and all that. But I would say outrightly that Emefiele, well, was acting on orders, yes, orders of President Muhammadu Buhari, and from the expose by this whistleblower there, that means Emefiele took part in some dealings that were unknown to Nigerians. But we're yet to see somebody who has come out, or the DSS or a court that will come out and give us a big narrative of the sins, the real sins and offenses of Godwin Emefiele, the suspended governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Because as to our own notice or to our own knowledge, the only thing Emefiele has done wrong over time is the Naira policy that affected Nigerians so gravely and led to the loss of lives, property, and so on. So we will say that is, according to Nigerians, that is the only offense or sin Godwin Emefiele has committed over time. But we will say if there is a sort of list where the whole sins of Emefiele would cover, because we can't just believe anybody who comes up and grants a press conference. There is no second party to verify those claims. Secondly, David Hundeyin, who is an investigative journalist, the same person who was responsible for the expose that brought forth the position of dual citizenship by the president, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He has come on air again in the wake of the June 12th day and as some form of commemoration and analysis to describe the feelings of Nigerians having witnessed the June 12th. Now, he called that this particular day was supposed to be a democracy day, which he is, but he further tried to establish the negative and positive link of President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu to the June 12th day, and also to MKO Abiola, who obviously was the hero behind the special date. Now, the truth is, David, who is an investigative journalist, called out the president, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who he feels has, instead of advocating for democracy, has gone the other way, which is quite contrary to what he actually wants Nigerians to believe in the wake of our quest for a new Nigeria. That is true, but before we talk more on this, let me allow you watch the brief cutaway from the interview granted by News Central. We'll be back shortly.
I would also want to be associated with the legacy of MK Abiola for a number of reasons, not all of which are benign political reasons. Some of them I find to be quite questionable reasons. So to my mind, based on my individual reading of what his political motivations are, the specific attempt to associate himself with MK Abiola is done for a variety of reasons, but the reason which I perhaps find a bit questionable is that it's, in my opinion, is an attempt to cast himself as some sort of assumed descendants or assumed political descendants of MK Abiola as the supposed, de facto leader of the the Yoruba ethnic group or the Southwestern political interest group, which I find to be very mischievous, because this assumed consensus, which has been a big thing he has been trying to push since 1999, that he's the consensus leader of the Southwestern political caucus, and there was no meeting where this was decided. There was no consensus where it was decided that this person represents the political progeny of Obafemi Awolowo or MK Abiola. There was no meeting where these things were decided, but he's been very clever at positioning himself in certain ways. So I'm not surprised that it's more of the same, and he's going to keep on doing this. It's a very faint dog whistle, but it's a dog whistle nonetheless, and the people to whom it's directed at understand what he's trying to say when he's saying it. It's also no coincidence that it's in the middle of a very contentious electoral tribunal process that he's invoking the memory of MK Abiola, because part of what his post-election political strategy has been to infer that if in any way the results or the supposed results of the February 25 election are contested or challenged or overturned in any way, that somehow that would represent a reprisal of the annulment of the June 12 election, that somehow that would be something unfair. So I'm not surprised that he's positioning himself in this way. But
okay, welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is still your most preferred YouTube channel. Before we go further, I would urge our viewers, most lovely, please, both existing and non-subscribers, okay, please do well to subscribe to this channel. And don't forget to also tap the subscribe button, or tap the notification bell rather, if you want to always get updates anytime we drop new contents. And then watch this video till the end, like and share, then drop a comment for us in the comment section. These activities make YouTube to make our contents go viral. David Hundeyin has been on top of his game over time, coming with different exposés about politicians. Especially, he has been on the Bola Asiwaju Ahmed Tinubu's case for a very, very long while now. He exposed Sheyi Tinubu's alleged possession of a sort of confiscated property by the Nigerian government from an alleged fuel or petroleum dealer. And then he also exposed different occurrences as regards to the dark side of the president Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But this time around, he doesn't see the reason why Tinubu, who is the president, should try to associate himself with the MKO Abiola 12th June heroics, because he feels that Asiwaju over time, even though he felt or he appeared to have fought for the democracy during his establishment or during his engagement with the Nadeko firm sometime in the late 90s, he believes that whatever Asiwaju has done during the just concluded election with the purported change in results and so on, allegedly, because we have a case in court yet to be resolved. So David Hundeyin believes that whatever happened during the election period, with the announcement, the subsequent challenge in court and so on, tends to defeat the main objectives of the importance of this 12th June Democracy Day, and a day to commiserate and commemorate the death of MKO Abiola. So that was his own explanation on that particular interview, and I hope you quite enjoyed that update. Finally, I have something quite from the ordinary. Former Governor Donald Duke of Cross River State has come on air to single out the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, as an entity to expose how meaningless and less important the parastatal is to the Nigerian economy, as there are lots of sectors like that with the same mandate and little or no results. Okay, now he preferred solutions through the various non-functional refineries in Nigeria, and how their operational activities would point Nigeria and her economy to the right direction and to the right perspective. Let me give you a brief cutaway from that interview so you would understand the main point of Donald Duke and why he feels these parastatals that are linked to the Niger Delta and the petroleum oil sector feel to be meaningless or non-functional. Watch this interview.
So you have an NDDC, which is a totally useless institution. You don't need it. Niger Delta get derivation. Derivation is compensation, right, for letting go of your resource for national use. So you give them 13%. You can argue on the amount, 13, 20, whatever, but that is done already. Then you set up an NDDC that does similar things, doing the same roads, doing this and doing that, and they're now in debt to the tune of 2-3 trillion and have nothing to show for it. Then you now set up a superstructure called the Niger Delta Ministry. Why? Because you have oil. So if you find oil now in the Northeast, are you going to set up a superstructure like that? For the amount of money that has been spent in the Niger Delta as a region, and the results to show, there's a huge disparity. Huge disparity. Well, hold the oil companies responsible, right? They muddied it up. It's not the government that should clean it up. They should clean it up, right? They have the expertise. They know what to do. You want to tell me that Shell, or I think it was Shell that was operating there, Shell has the expertise. They know who to call to clean it up. Not a contract for the boys. The government had nothing to do with it. You see, we need to stay off this industry and let it run like any other industry, right? And get the taxes that you get. But everyone is there. The president sees himself as Minister of Petroleum and this and that. That is, if a president wants to be Minister of anything, he should go to national planning, not petroleum. You could see that it's so cheap and so it's so infantile. Why do you want to be Minister of Petroleum? Why not take power? Why not go to national planning? That gives you an oversight over everything, okay? But if Shell muddied Ogoniland, Shell go clean it up. It's like the refineries. The refineries ran down because we couldn't run it, but we should have outsourced the management of the refineries. We don't even need to own it. We should have sold it long ago.
Can that still happen now? Do you
With
think
the refineries that don't work, you've got to fix it. You've got to bring it back to life before you outsource it. But why do you want to own it? Bring it back to life, put it on the stock market and sell it.
Okay, all said and done. I hope you got that message right. To analyze more, I would say that Donald Duke is trying to explain the non-compliance of the government with the pros and cons of the oil sector, as well as the nonchalance of the government or the previous government on issues that pertain to the Niger Delta region of Nigeria. Okay, because he feels that the enactment or establishment of the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, and other parastatals like that was just a sort of cameo where the government failed to have met to the brief needs of the inhabitants of the Niger Delta, that is Nigerians from the south region. And then after establishment of these parastatals, there were little or nothing done about it. Okay, that has explained the situation on ground that has Donald Duke clamoring for a sort of change in that particular sector. Without wasting much of your time, I hope you enjoyed our updates together. I would urge you to keep a date with us tomorrow for more updates. Thanks and see you next time. Bye.